We are almost to the end of the Planet Zoo 2 ideas series, thankfully. I think I do only have 2 more videos after this to do, but in this video we're going to be focusing on one of the more exciting aspects, I feel. Less managerial, more eventful. This would be the guest attractions and what sort of experiences can be added to Planet Zoo 2 to really improve how guests visit zoos and what they are able to do. The first of which being animal encounters and behind the scenes tours. These are at every zoo I've been to, where guests are able to get up close and personal with different animals and be able to interact with them, where they feed them, pat them, or the animal even climbs onto their shoulder. I remember when I did that lemur encounter I mentioned in the, I think it was either the management or construction video with the lemur islands. I did a lemur encounter. I was brought onto that island. I was feeding the lemurs. The lemurs were climbing all over me. Like, I had one on my knee, I had one on my shoulder, one even went up on my head. And yeah, like, seeing guests get really excited when meeting animals has always been something I love seeing in real zoos and would love to see in Planet Zoo 2, because being able to interact with another living being that wants to interact with you is just one of the most special things that can happen to a person. Like, I remember when I first met a red panda, it felt like it really felt special, because it has been my favorite animal for years, and when I was able to finally meet one and feed one, that was just so special. And yeah, it wanted to actually come to me and eat the food that I had. So, I mean, it was probably more interested in the food than me, but in the sense that you could actually have an interaction with animals like a red panda or an Indian rhino or a Bengal tiger, that would just be amazing. I haven't done those last 2 encounters. I really want to though, but yeah, it would just be something that would be amazing to have in Planet Zoo 2. And another particular encounter that I have experienced myself is a giraffe feeding. So giraffe feedings are at every zoo that has giraffes that I know of, and so incorporating this into Planet Zoo 2 is necessary, I'd say, because yeah, it's just so common, and in some zoos even do it for free, where like if you're at the giraffe talk, you can actually interact with the giraffe yourself. And I remember when I interacted with the giraffe, I actually had 2 encounters in one day with the giraffes. So one in the early morning, because I was at Taronga Western Plains Zoo, staying at the Zufari Lodge, and we fed the giraffes early in the morning. That one went nicely. The second one, we went out onto a platform where the giraffes could get right up next to you, and I was feeding them carrot. I was gonna feed one carrot, but then another came from my left, reached its head around, reached its neck across, and licked me across the chin to try and get that bit of carrot. I'd never been so close to an animal so large, and I was like, how old was I? I was like 12 when this happened, 12 or 13. Oh, maybe even 14. But yeah, it was a very cool experience. Very, very humbling, I'd say. No, I was 12. I think I was 12, yeah. Yeah, so that was really cool. And yeah, giraffe encounters are just always special. Playgrounds too. I was a kid once. Many of you were kids once, or you are kids still. And so zoo playgrounds were probably one of the greatest things you ever visited, because some of them can be really creative. And yeah, playgrounds are just a way that kids and children, well, children in general, can be better incorporated into zoos, because children are sort of the target audience. And so having a place where they're able to monkey about would be really great. And playgrounds are at every zoo that I've been to, where kids are just able to let off steam and adventure around a course that is designed in different ways. And yeah, if you can have complete control over how this course is built, I think you could create some really unique encounters, as there's some playgrounds I've heard of from specific zoos that like bring you really close to primates, like squirrel monkeys and lemurs, where you're like going through a tunnel that goes through that animal exhibit. Like that would be really cool. A remastered gondola ride is also something I really want to see. The gondola currently, I don't like it. It is very toonified, but also the track that it runs along is not really what you see in real gondolas. It's on an outstretched cable, or two cables, and yeah, it's not just this long metal track. It is just a cable that the car hangs from. And so having that would be much more usable, I'd say. And also the shape of the gondola just being much more compact and realistic would be good as well. More safari tour variations would be nice as well, as the 4x4 tour truck. I haven't really seen that before in a real zoo, where it's a multi-leveled truck with so many different seats. I'm also seeing it as being like this long bus-like truck with several seats at the side that guests sit on and they look out into the animal exhibit. Or like at the San Diego Safari Park, it's a truck and there's like you're in a crate on the back where you're actually standing up looking at the wildlife. Like that would be really cool to have that variation between the different tours, and also that they're actually being driven by people, so that'd be really good. Guest transport is another thing that I really want to see in the game, where guests themselves are able to get around the zoo in different ways. Like Taronga Western Plains allows you to get around on bikes or drive your own car, or take a golf cart around the zoo, get a caddy and be taken around the zoo in a much faster fashion. And other zoos also just have buses, trams, and all that sort of stuff that allow you to get around zoos much quicker, and also see wildlife in different ways as well, as it can be somewhat more intimate to meet animals where you're in complete control of your transport. And I think even some zoos have horse rides that take you around to see the animals. Like that would be awesome to see in Planet Zoo 2. And zoo buses and trams in general, these are very common, particularly in big zoos. Like this is at the Werribee Open Range Zoo in Victoria here in Australia, and it's this long tram ride that you take that takes you out into the savannah, and you're able to just really appreciate the habitat with as many people as you want, really. But yeah, it's a really cool ride, and there's all sorts of others that are around different zoos around the world. Guest accommodation at the zoo would also be really great, as the opportunity to stay overnight at a zoo is some of the best has been responsible for some of the best memories of wildlife I've ever had. Particularly when I stayed at the Taronga Western Plains Zoo Safari Lodge, and just able to chill out on the balcony, look out and see these amazing savannah animals. Not to mention behind the scenes tours as well, where I got to hear a lion roar, as well as feed hippos, and all sorts of other animals. It was really cool, and being able to have that in Planet Zoo 2 for the guests, it would be really cool because you'd be creating lifelong memories for your guests rather than just an amazing zoo experience. And I just remembered something. So when I was making the zoo construction video, there was one thing that skipped my mind, and I looked at this picture of the giraffes at the Safari Lodge, and just reminded me, more feeder shapes and more feeding troughs. It was blanking on me while I was recording that video, but yeah, I've remembered it now. As well as the zoo accommodation, we need more feeder types and more drinking troughs that you can attach to either a hanging station or to the edge of the barrier. That sort of thing would be amazing. Back to the accommodation, being able to have it as either a cabin, a room in a hotel, or just a hut, would be really cool, as the National Zoo and Aquarium's Jamala Wildlife Lodge really allows you to get up close and personal with certain animals, like this sun bear, which is able to sleep out right next to you, really. Like, you could get much closer to a sun bear than you would in the wild. And yeah, the cabin feel I think I really like the most. But yeah, there's so many guest opportunities for accommodation options that really should be available in Planet Zoo 2. Back to something that the children that visit the zoo would be much more interested in, a splash park. So this is a way for kids to cool off on a hot day, and this would really work in with the summer and seasons I was talking about, where this splash park is much more popular in the summer because, well, it's in Australia it gets very hot, to say the least, and so having a splash park to cool off would be really cool, and it's also really fun. Like, I remember when I was a kid and first interacted with the splash park, it was very fun, and yeah, did its job of cooling me off. And so being able to theme it in different ways is also great. As the one at Australia Zoo was pretty cool with the giant frog, the crocodile. Yeah, it's very nice. There's all sorts of options that can be applied to this, and yeah, just all round a fun time. A high ropes adventure course would also be great, and would be a really nice way to incorporate different elevations to different habitats, as depending on the exhibit that you have, you could have guests be able to go up into the trees, or on a climbing course, and actually be able to be at the same height as animals like orangutans, and I think that would just be really cool. And being able to just set up this as an attraction just would be really nice. I've tried my hand at a bit of climbing. Haven't really been able to do it recently, but yeah, it would be really nice to have this as an option for guests in Planet Zoo 2. More train rides as well. Like, the train is good at the way it is, but I feel like it's a bit too big currently. Like, not every zoo has a massive train. I mean, it's not a massive train, it's a fairly small train, but having something more this size would be, I think, a bit better, where you can have it on just a much smaller track. Like, it's a narrow gauge engine, and so you have smaller carriages, smaller train overall, and I think it's just a way to get closer to the animals in a much nicer way, and it's also not producing steam because it's electric. And you also have the road trains that have tires instead of train wheels and can go anywhere, really. Now, this is more of an amusement park attraction, but it is in many other zoos that I've been to. Ferris wheels and carousels are things that are incorporated into zoos every now and then, and so it would make sense to include them as another guest attraction, as they do give you some pretty nice views, particularly the Ferris wheel, more so than the carousel, as you can get to a really high height and be able to see over the zoo and just to really appreciate a whole different level of elevation and be able to see animals from a distance, which is really cool. The carousel is more so for the kids, in that they can ride around on sculptures made of different animals, which would be cool. Now, one that I have not really considered before, but honestly, now that I've seen it, can't imagine Planet Zoo not having, and that's zoo lights. So many zoos nowadays tend to include colourful light displays at different times of year, with different animals being shown in a more vivid manner. And so that would be really cool to incorporate. So have items of various different animals be able to light up at night. And this could also just be a way of a different zoo event. So zoo lights would run at a particular time of year and just be able to give guests a different experience at a different time of day. And like, it wouldn't be the regular zoo time, so it would basically be a night safari. So yeah, that would be really cool and really be a nice display. Now, this is one that I think a lot of people would like to see, and that's dinosaur displays. A reminder of the past in the present. and a lot of zoos have dinosaur displays. I can't pretend that a lot of zoos don't. Many zoos will have something like a T-Rex just displayed somewhere, whether it's a statue or an animatronic. Having the option for either would be really nice, and having them as well, their current paleo accurate forms would be even better. And so yeah, having dinosaur displays would just be a really nice feature. I know we asked for a kayak experience for so long for Jurassic World Evolution, but I would like to see one in Planet Zoo as well. So Planet Zoo 2 should really have a kayak tour, as there are a few zoos that I could think of that have a similar experience. So Brevard Zoo in Florida has a kayak tour that allows you to paddle alongside habitats housing giraffes and primates. The Mogo Wildlife Park here in Australia, they have a primate kayak experience. At least I think it's a kayak experience. It's either kayak or it's just a boat paddle experience that takes you around several primate islands. But either way, you could create some really unique experiences for your guests with this attraction. And last but not least, guest shows. So this is something that a lot of zoos do, where they specifically focus around different animals to really show off what they can do to a much larger audience, and be able to have a message, a conservation message, reach more people at any one time. One of my favourites, and that I have seen in real life, is the Crocoseum at Australia Zoo, where they bring out the saltwater crocodile to feed it. Like, that is one of the most awesome experiences I've ever witnessed, and would be really cool to have in Planet Zoo too. The same with a free flight bird show, especially if we get aviary birds. Having a free flight bird show to show off these birds in open air would be really nice, and yeah, just be a really cool way to incorporate birds that much more intimately with the guest experience. And also seal shows. Now, the seal show that runs at Taronga Zoo is not with tricks. It's really just to encourage natural behaviour, but also to provide a message about overfishing and how our activities are damaging the ocean. And I think having this more, what's the word? It's ethical. This more ethical way of doing animal shows in Planet Zoo 2 would just be much more with the times as they stand right now, where the animals are being used as a message for their wild cousins, and so they're also having fun. Like, sea lions need enrichment, and being able to show off their speed and agility in water, and also how they're able to leap from the water, is really cool, and just a great way of them being able to stretch their muscles and get exercise. But yeah, these sort of shows, these ethical shows, are the sort of thing I really want to see. But that's all for guest attractions. Now, I was initially going to include a whale watching attraction as well, but not every zoo is going to be built on a coastline, so I think it would be a somewhat niche attraction to include. It would be a great way to get cetaceans in the game, as yeah, I don't want to see cetaceans in Planet Zoo 2. It's just they just don't belong in a captive setting. They really don't, and so that would not really work necessary. But let me know your thoughts on these other attractions, and if there's any others that you could think of, leave those down in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.